Hello, my name is Tolg and I exist, therefore I think too much. I am reading Mirror of Simple Souls by Marguerite Porete. I am currently reading the introduction because there was a question asked. I figured the introduction could answer it, and then I felt stuck reading the introduction because it's longer than I thought it was. So if you follow the series, I'll have to make separate playlists for the books I'm reading. But currently there's a playlist called Philosopherance, which holds the two books that I'm reading as I post them. So if you're following the series, you'll see that I got up to, I think, like chapter 30 and then just went back to the introduction, and there's the explanation as to why. I rant, which means I don't get through a whole lot at one time. It also means, like, if you wanted someone to simply read to follow along, I will be inserting my opinion, and that's probably going to be agitating. As most people seeking out religious writings, I assume, are doing so on the premise of wanting to form their own opinion rather than form the opinion of someone else. So, with that warning, if you're staying, you've been told. And the other thing that I should warn against is that I cuss. And if you don't like cussing or opinionated people, use your free will and go do something you like doing. Like play hopscotch, toss the frisbee around, give your dog a bath. Go enjoy life. So I left off... Whoa. Somewhere. Okay, so it starts off, Marguerite calls the divine seeing of the divine self in the soul the spark. Most people do. The flash of light through an aperture, which signals the brief arrival of the sixth stage and quickly passes away. Even when the spark passes away, however, the soul remains in a union of identity with God before and after the opening of the aperture. Well, I hate that word, and I'm sorry that I cannot pronounce it. When the aperture opens, the soul is lifted to the sixth stage, which Marguerite calls the showing from the glory of the soul. Okay. At this moment, the soul is lifted to her virtual existence, to where she was in the source of all being before she was given being. Why be created? The Begin theologian grounds this moment in her understanding of the unity of the Trinity, who enters the annihilated soul through the power of the Holy Spirit. At the very least, this mention of the Trinity does imply there is a unity, as it is considered in Christianity to be the Godhead. Therein, a part of that Godhead is not necessarily a standalone and stand above. It is all parts of the same thing. La 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 la. Okay, so yeah, the unity of the Trinity, and then the Holy Spirit introduces the unity of the Trinity into the annihilated soul, or soon to be annihilated soul. And that seems plausible. If the Holy Spirit is the ghost of Jesus left behind so that humanity can connect to God better, then through the Holy Spirit one would have access to the Godhead, the Trinity. So that makes sense. The logic of the procession of the persons is capitalized, allows the soul to receive the whole Trinity because the Holy Spirit possesses completely what the Father and Son possess. And that part I don't appreciate, because the Holy Spirit, like I said, was understood to be the ghost, essentially, left over from Jesus after he dies. And therein would not possess God and Jesus. I'm pretty sure I'm right. The unity of the Trinity permits Marguerite to assert that the soul is in the Father. Whoa. That's weird. The source of the Trinity and of all things. Has it ever been understood that the Father was the source of the Trinity? Father, Son, the Holy Spirit? More than these things just exist alongside each other, thus creating the Trinity? I don't know that there is a source of it. Father, source of the Trinity, grounds Marguerite's assertion that through the work of the Holy Spirit, the soul is necessarily conformable to the Godhead, and therefore the soul receives her virtual existence in this gift. That's like elevation to becoming a part of the Godhead yourself, right? Is that what's being communicated here? Well, okay, so the soul is mirrored. In my understanding, everything needs a balance in order to exist without creating a black hole, essentially. So if the soul is mirrored, and she has a mirrored copy of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit in this area here, and in composed reality here, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit just simply exist. And then the annihilated soul promotes herself to being a part of this three-form Godhead. Then the mirrored part of being annihilated in this reality here means that it is completely plausible that she can be a part of the Trinity because she doesn't exist. Right? The classic description of the Father as source of the Trinity grounds Marguerite's assertion that through the work of the Holy Spirit, the soul is necessarily conformable to the Godhead, and therefore the soul receives her virtual existence in this gift. The soul carried into the unity of the Trinity is moved to the source of the Trinity, the Father, so that she knows all things and knows nothing. Which is superior divine understanding. At this point, God has taken understanding from the soul and keeps what the soul understands. The movement of the Trinity transforms the soul's understanding of herself and of God in the 5th stage into divine understanding itself in the 6th stage. This flash of divine understanding moves the soul from the 5th stage to the 6th stage when the aperture opens. The opening does not last long, and when it closes, the soul drops back to the 5th stage, but not to the 4th, because she has been established in the divine life. From now on, the soul is moved from the 5th to the 6th, and back again, as often as the Trinity moves within her. There was a point, and it was poorly described, and again, maybe if I spoke French, it would make sense, or better sense, where she is a phoenix, and then becomes like a seraphim, and she exists in God's grace either when she is flying or when she is staying still. And then, the opposite is when God cannot find her. And I'm wondering if that may be this transition between back and forth the 5th and the 6th stage, where existing in God's grace might be joining the Godhead at rest, and then the 5th stage, where God cannot find her, is in flight. Maybe? There's so much said, so many lines to be drawn. When the soul drops back to the fifth stage, she remains in the annihilated state, without any will of her own, in deepest, supreme humility. The whole Trinity has filled the soul, and the divine will alone wills in her. Submerged in the divine life, the soul cannot be touched by any sense of shame or honor, poverty or wealth, not even by a fear of hell or desire for paradise. The fifth stage is the supreme peace of the soul, in which nothing can be given to her nor taken away from her. The soul could be called both impassible and audacious. I did not know impassible was the opposite of audacious. In her impassibility, she not only takes no account of things which might please or harm, but she also audaciously neither desires nor despises the practices of the Church, and she seeks nothing. That is Buddhism. That is Zen. She has reached Zen, Nirvana. Nirvana is kind of like a heaven, so she has reached Zen at the very least. Good for her. It's got to feel good. This soul no longer seeks God through penitence, nor through any sacrament of Holy Church, not through thoughts, nor through words, nor through works, not through creature here below, nor through creature above. Interesting. I like that. Not through justice, nor through mercy, not through glory of glory. Glorifying glory itself. Interesting. Not through divine understanding, nor through divine love, nor through divine praise. You could shorten that by just saying, the soul no longer seeks God. Just comes by it haphazardly and randomly, and happily. Such a soul neither desires nor despises poverty nor tribulation, neither mass nor sermon, neither fast nor prayer, and gives to nature all that is necessary without remorse or conscience. My phone is dying. But such nature is so well ordered through the transformation by unity of love, to whom the will of the soul is conjoined, that nature demands nothing which is prohibited. This soul has taken leave of the virtues, and now they serve her. Nature has been so well ordered within her that she can give to nature what nature demands, unlike those who still remain in the life of the spirit, in desire and will. Okay, so if you were to leave it at just saying the annihilated soul, then it sounds real fucking bad. But if you get into the description of, meeting Zen and essentially being fulfilled whilst existing, therein the desire that would drive you towards meeting needs and wants is non-existent. That doesn't sound as bad as just not existing entirely. I feel like it could be perceived as one and the same, but simultaneously, I think it mostly just describes comfort, being comfortable, and that describes something entirely different from not wanting to exist, in my opinion. So this very well could be, a need for direct translation. A need to understand the language a lot better on my end. It is complex. Certainly, if you do follow God and you are looking up this work on the premise of wanting to understand God better, if you were attempting to understand God better through this work, I would advise that you go to God every single time something is said, especially if you were reading the translated version. That you seek the answer in the source. That this is merely, maybe, a roadmap that someone drew. Always check it with what you